Another way to apply fabric ink is with the Silk Screen Starter Kit. You can apply fabric ink with just stencil vinyl, but that's better for a one-time use. The Silk Screen Starter Kit lets you create the design once and apply it to a series of different surfaces, so you can make a whole bunch of them. The tools you'll need are the Silk Screen Starter Kit. So I've got my frame and the pieces, the silk and the heat transfer, the squeegee tool that comes with it, and it comes with black fabric ink, but I'm going to go ahead and use gold fabric ink. You can use any of the Silhouette fabric inks with the Silk Screen Kit. So let's go ahead and go into the software. I have my design open. This is a design I'm going to put onto an apron, and I want to set up my page size in the page setup window to match the heat transfer that I'm going to use. And so that is 12 inches wide, 15 inches high, and I'm going to cut it directly from the piece of heat transfer. So I'm going to choose none for my cutting mat choice. When you're creating a design, it needs to fit within the Silk Screen Kit frame, and so you need to keep it within 8.5 by 11 inches wide. This one I've got is about 3 inches wide and 6 inches high. Since we are using heat transfer, we'll go ahead and mirror this design. So let's flip it horizontally. I've just done a right click so I can flip horizontally. And then we want to center this on the page so it stays centered within the frame when we get to that point. We'll go to the Send panel and we want to choose Heat Transfer Smooth. The action is cut, tool is auto blade. I think I'm going to increase my force just a little bit. And when we load this, we're going to load the mat directly into the machine and we'll put it glossy side down. And when we are ready, we will click Send in the software. Here's my heat transfer that came with the starter kit. It's got a glossy side and a dull side. We'll put the glossy side down. Let me make sure my rollers are adjusted to cut it at 12 inches without a mat. Set that in the groove and lock it. Push up my release lever. I'll go ahead and load this. Okay, and I'll press Send so that can cut. Okay, we'll unload that. And since this is a stencil, we are going to weed away the design itself so the ink goes through where we want the design to show up. I'll just use my hook tool. So now this is heat transfer and we're going to iron it on to our silk. I've got a heat-proof surface under there. And I'll cover that so I'm not ironing directly on the liner. And on this you're going to go about 20 to 30 seconds. So when you're done, you should be able to peel the heat transfer or the liner away from the heat transfer and have the heat transfer stay stuck to the silk screen. And remember, you can always iron a little bit longer if you need to. So now my design is attached to my silk, and we want the heat transfer facing up and the silk screen is going to be underneath. To assemble the frame, all you need to do is match up your numbers. So like number 1 will go with number 1, 2 with 2, and so you'll just put those together. All of your slots, these grooves, are all going to be on the outside, and your numbers will match up that way. And then you just put the screws in. When you are ready to put your silk screen into the frame, you're going to put the frame on top of your silkscreen so your shallow piece is down. And you'll center the design within your frame. And then I like to take a pencil. You're going to need to snip these corners off, and so you've got room for the stencil to fit into these grooves. So I just like to take a pencil and mark where that needs to be cut so it'll fit completely within the groove. And so you'll do that on all the corners. And now we can take the frame away and we'll just cut with scissors along those lines. And I drew my pencil line all the way up to where the wood was, so I'm going to slice just a little bit past that. And then I'm just going to snip that corner diagonally across. Just meet up where those slices are. Now we are ready to apply it to the frame. Remember, the heat transfer side is facing up. It's in what we call the well of the frame. And then we're going to take our inserts that go into the slots and we'll put kind of the rounded end in first. So make sure that you are applying enough force to get that to stay in there. Now we're going to put this design onto an apron. Again, I want a protective surface underneath because I'm going to be putting ink on here and I don't want it to bleed through. So make sure that you've got your ink and your squeegee ready, because once you put your ink in there on the heat transfer, you need to work quickly so it doesn't dry. So we'll put our design on here and center it. So make sure you apply a generous amount of ink all the way across so it fills your design. And you're just going to take your squeegee and drag it across vertically. If you need to make multiple passes, you can. Once you've got enough ink on there, you're just going to drag it smoothly down to pick up that extra ink. And if you were doing multiple designs, you would want to make sure that you've got your several aprons out or t-shirts or whatever you're doing, so they are ready to do one after the other. So once that's on there, we'll just lift it straight up, and there you've got your design. With your stencil, if you're doing multiple designs, you're going to want to rinse it with water or wipe it with a cloth in between every few designs to make sure that that doesn't dry and clog the screen. And then when you're done, you want to take it out of the frame. If you want to use it again, you're going to want to scrub it with warm soapy water and then just hang it somewhere safe where it can dry and be stored so it's ready to use the next time. And then make sure that you let your fabric ink dry completely.